Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. I wanted to share this trip with you guys. A couple of years ago I went down to the Florida Keys along with some friends on their family vacation. I had an itchy trigger finger, so I didn't waste any time. I wanted to get some bait for the boat, so I shot a couple of yellowjacks. Spearfishing videos were the whole reason I started a YouTube channel, and at times the reptiles overshadow that, but this is what it's all about for me. And so this trip was a ton of fun, and I never got around to doing anything with the footage, and finally had a little bit of time, and so I thought I'd put together some clips and show you guys a little bit about what it's like to dive in the Florida Keys. You may notice those funny sounds throughout the video. That's just a grouper call. I'm doing that kind of experimentally, but sometimes that attracts curious fish, and so you do that grunting noise. And I've had mixed results with it, still trying to figure out if, when, and how to use it. I've never seen seaweed like this before. It was mesmerizing from below, and it looked a lot like pine needles. If you've ever seen it, let me know what it is. I don't usually eat barracuda because of the risk of ciguatera poisoning, but I wanted to stock up on fish for bait for the rest of the week, so I was a little bit trigger happy. I'm breaking out the flasher here to try to attract some fish that are out in the open blue water. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of your offshore fish will come check out the glitter. Here, my buddy Wes takes a shot at a mutton snapper and he misses. So I swoop in to show him how it's done. And I completely missed the fish too. Usually where we're diving is much shallower and murkier, and that clear water is so difficult to gauge distances. And so that's one of my excuses of many. We're just getting warmed up. We saw so many grouper on this trip, big ones too, and I'm not very good at my grouper identification, and I also was ignorant and thought that most of these were closed. I didn't think the season was open, so I passed on a lot of really nice fish. I think this one is a red grouper, but I'm not sure. I would love it if anybody could chime in the comments. Also, got a little surprise visit from a yellow spotted ray. Going down for lobster season is still on the bucket list. I have yet to do it, so I haven't been able to harvest any Florida lobster yet. Wes makes a redemption shot and shoots himself a nice mutton snapper. This means now I've got to get serious, so I bust out old, trusty, reliable, my 130 hybrid spear gun. I built this gun close to 10 years ago, and I'm a little bit biased, but I love to shoot it. It's a little bit of a chore to load the 3 bands, but it hasn't let me down. We're diving here on a wreck that we found, a public number with a buoy, but I was surprised to find so many of the wrecks in the Keys were flat. There's just not much left, but I believe a big mast, and you can see a little bit of an outline, but it was an interesting learning curve. We weren't finding as much structure as we hoped, but it still helped fish. I spotted a lionfish below and dove down to pluck him off the mast. Their venomous spines make cleaning them a little bit tricky, but they are delicious. Raw, sliced thin, with a little bit of lime and soy sauce. Super good. After shooting a fish, the area got a little bit sharky. The noise of the spear guns definitely brings them in to investigate. As far as I could figure, all these sharks that you see are nurse sharks, and none of them were really aggressive. They just kind of came in like vultures or buzzards. They were on the hunt, they were cruising, looking, but really didn't mess with us and kept their distance. Can't complain. I've been in places that were much more nerve-wracking and where the sharks were a little bit more comfortable interacting with you, and that's hard to get used to. I'm pretty sure this little fella here is a squirrel fish, but he wouldn't turn sideways, so I'm not 100% sure. It's go time. Mutton sighted. And of course my gun wasn't loaded, so I had to scramble to load it, breathe up, and drop down. Usually chasing fish is not a good idea. Luckily, the big gun had the reach, and finally got a good shot on my first mutton. I led a little bit too much, so my shot was more forward than it should have been. So I quickly dispatched the fish, and next you want to bleed them out. This will improve the quality of the meat. Another gorgeous day. We head out to go snorkel around a lighthouse, then we'll leave to do some spearfishing and then come back for some more snorkeling later. Managed to shoot one of the Spanish mackerel that came cruising by. They're always fun to shoot. I like to call them the poor man's wahoo. They're not the best to eat, but they're pretty good when you fry them up. Look how well this scorpionfish blends in with the bottom. I almost missed him. They have a painful sting, but I don't think it's usually fatal. There were some monster tarpon down here, and their big, shiny scales are like mirrors, and they make them almost invisible. They were so difficult to see. Spotted a nice gag grouper hiding at the base of the lighthouse. I had no idea there were so many different types of parrotfish down here. I believe this one is a midnight parrotfish, and I was blown away at how pretty it was. I've heard it said that beaches are just parrotfish poop, and after seeing that, I think it might be true. 3 more different kinds of parrotfish in the same shot. Pause it and see if you can tell me what they are. And then a hogfish appears out of nowhere. That camouflage was amazing, and then he changed his color. I'm not sure what this barracuda was up to with the gaping mouth, but he didn't look that friendly, so I didn't go any closer. You can hear that parrotfish beak just crunching on the coral. I thought that was pretty cool. Every day keeps getting better and better, and today you couldn't even tell where the horizon was. The water was just glassy. We spent the first half of the day exploring, goofing off. We found this cool old rope swing and searched around for beaches and places to hang out, had lunch, and then prepared to head offshore. Our afternoon plan was to head out offshore in search of weed lines where we could find dolphin fish or mahi. Cliff managed to get a little mahi on the line, and he's playing with it right now by the boat, trying to keep it in the water to keep the school nearby. They'll tend to stay together. So I cut up some chum and threw it in around Wes, trying to keep the fish's attention. But they were really tiny little chicken mahi. By the time I got in, I caught one little glimpse of a mahi, and then they were gone. It just wouldn't be a fun trip if we didn't have some sort of mechanical problems. That's boats for you. It's always nice to see a triple tail. They're delicious, but this guy was much too small to eat.
Little triple.
Here we've got a little bit of a learning example. I loaned my big gun to my buddy Wes, and he's a little bit of a newer diver and not familiar with my gun. And so he shot this little jack and was having some trouble working the gun, and I tried to signal to him, but I definitely need to work on my communication in the water. As you can see, he's fighting in the seaweed here. I was trying to signal him to swim out away from the seaweed, and then using a spear gun, you don't reel it in like a rod and reel. The reel is just to hold the line, and you're meant to work the fish just holding the shooting line in your hands. And so you can just drop your gun. What he did here was really dangerous. You don't ever want to wad up the string in your hand. If it was a big enough fish, you could really get hurt, tangled. If the fish takes off and you're caught in the line, people die doing that. So you always want to kick your feet and move, and that way the string trails out behind you, and let the spear gun go. And then here you'll see, finally he's got some distance, and so his gun is behind him, string is stretched out, no tangles, and so if a big fish would take off, the line would just zip through your hands till you got to the gun, and then you could let the rest of the line spool off the reel, and then start to fight back, bring it back to the surface again. We were getting pretty hungry, so it was time to make a batch of ceviche for our snack. I'm going to mix it up and then put it back in the cooler for a little bit and let it mellow. It gets even better after a couple days when all the flavors mix together. Did you guys know that lobsters are ticklish? I never figured out what this was, but I had to dive down and check it out, flip it over. Yet another big tasty grouper. Left him to get bigger. I haven't gone back down to find him yet. yet another mystery grouper here. Nassau? Or Yellow Edge, maybe? Please let me know if you know. I started following this squirrely little fellow, and he led me right over to a grouper that was hiding under some coral. Side note, I still don't know what that snapper was. I thought it might have been a small mutton, but I'm confused at the coloration. And wouldn't you know it, I think this is the first black grouper of the trip that I've seen. I've heard a lot of concern about the black grouper populations declining, so I don't feel too bad for letting this one go. This one was painful to rewatch. This huge king mutton came by, and I just could not line up a shot. I hesitated, and I missed my chance. All of the purple sea fans were just gorgeous. I've never been somewhere where there were so many. There's another squirrel fish. Much better look at him. Orange with the big black eyes. Funny looking little guys. I think I'd be more worried if I was on a boat that didn't have something break down. My buddy Wes spotted a big mutton snapper that went into a cave, and he was having trouble getting down to the depth, so he pointed out the rock, swapped guns, gave me a smaller gun, and sent me down after him. Usually it's me behind the camera, so it was cool that Cliff was filming and caught this third-person view of me going down after the mutton snapper. Things are about to get a little bit hectic. I'm waiting for my eyes to adjust to the darkness. And there he is. Now I'm not so sure about using a swivel to connect the shooting line to the reel line. I had a pretty nasty tangle here. It didn't help that I was using an unfamiliar gun. So got a little bit messy there, but the fish was small enough that I could just horse it up to the surface. This was pretty exciting. Once you finally get your hands on it, you can see how big they are. And I haven't shot a big snapper like this since diving in Texas on the oil rigs. So worked up and ready to get this guy on the boat, I totally forgot to bleed him.
Good find. Nice. That's a brute.
I told you, dude.
So I gotta check for that grouper
too. There's a big grouper there too.
All of that excitement brought the sharks back. But don't let the ominous music deceive you. They were pretty chill. I couldn't leave without double checking the Mutton Snapper's cave, so I dropped back down with the flashlight to look in there. Didn't see the grouper, and so we moved on. I really was surprised that we didn't see more sharks being on the reef. Now it's times like this, and I really hate to admit it, I don't want my freediving buddies to hear this, but sometimes like this, I really do wish I had an air tank so I could sit there on the bottom and just watch this. It's easy to lose track of time down there, but eventually your body reminds you have to breathe. Now you probably can't tell in the video what I'm going after. These grouper have a funny habit of staring directly at you, and it makes them really hard to see. When they face you, they become really small. And so it wasn't until about now that you could really get an eye on that grouper. Alright guys, I don't know how you made it this far. I commend your attention span. Thanks so much for watching. I really do mean it. It's so nice to see comments from you guys, and I really appreciate those of you who subscribe and come back. I don't want to ask you to do that. I figured if you enjoy it, you would, so we'll leave it at that. But again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. It's really just doesn't feel right to save this all to myself, so I'm posting this in the hopes that you might have learned something new, seen something different. So I'll see you guys on the next one.